Me, me enseñaron a desvivir a una persona, a matarlo y más aparte a destrozarlo.
Angels snatched a 17-year-old CJNG cartel prodigy on Texas soil. They lit the fuse on a $200 million ransom crisis, a shadow war, and a cover-up that reshaped outlaw history. But who really fired the shot that night, and why was every trace wiped clean? Let's break it down. The capture. In the dust-blown outskirts of Laredo, Texas, a pack of Harley-Davidsons thundered south under a fading violet sky. Their red and white patches marked them unmistakably. Hell's Angels, a name still feared and respected across America's criminal underground. But this ride wasn't for intimidation. Beneath the growl of engines was the precision of an organized strike. These men weren't hunting chaos, they were following intelligence. Intel gathered over months of intercepted calls, back-alley exchanges, and whispered tips from bars that didn't officially exist. Their target? A 17-year-old phantom known along the border as El Niño de Fuego, the Boy of Fire. According to leaked DEA briefings and off-record statements from Mexican State Police, he was the youngest confirmed operational lieutenant within the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, CJNG. By 2025, the cartel controlled vast stretches of Mexico's western heartland and operated paramilitary training sites throughout Jalisco, Michoacan, and Colima.
The largest and most powerful drug cartel operating in Mexico today is the CJNG, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel. To call them a drug cartel is to actually understate the power of this immense criminal empire, who control thousands of miles of territory throughout western and southern Mexico, and whose leader,
Nemesio Oguero, better known as El Mino, was the most influential and untouchable drug lord of the modern era, and the kid they were hunting was his prodigy. He had risen fast, too fast, and that alone made him dangerous. Reports claimed he commanded a 40-man cell of sicarios trained on a CJNG ranch outside Guadalajara, where recruits allegedly proved loyalty by killing prisoners in live-fire combat drills. 2 weeks earlier, he had slipped into Texas with a small escort of armed teenage deserters from CJNG's southern cell, smuggling meth through the back roads of rural Webb County. He was never supposed to set foot on U.S. soil. But the Hells Angels found out anyway. The Angels, who had long held quiet control over smuggling corridors threading through Arizona, Nevada, and Texas, picked up his movements through intermediaries tied to outlaw bikers formerly aligned with the Bandidos. For them, this wasn't just about profit, it was about territory. According to former ATF agent Jay Dobbins, who spent years undercover inside the club during Operation Black Biscuit, territorial encroachment was considered an act of war. The territory you control defines how much money you can make within it, Dobbins explained. They're always trying to take ground from competitive gangs. The plan, if it could be called that, was brutally simple. Intercept the kid, take him alive, and use him as leverage against the same cartel pushing meth and weapons through Angel-dominated routes in Arizona and Texas. No agency had sanctioned the operation, though a handful of federal officers suspected something was brewing. By 8:43 p.m., a six-man advance team from the Mesa and Skull Valley charters was already in position along a lonely farm-to-market road west of Zapata. The boys' convoy, 2 armored SUVs and a pickup, moved cautiously through the dark. Then, in a flash, the night erupted. Floodlights blasted through the black. Motorcycles boxed in the vehicles. Automatic fire cracked through the silence. Witnesses later called it surgical, violent but over in seconds. 3 CJNG guards died instantly. A masked biker yanked the boy from the wrecked SUV and shoved him into a van. The Angels vanished into the desert. By dawn, whispers were spreading across Laredo's underworld. The Hells Angels had captured a cartel prince. No one yet knew that a ransom was coming, one that would shake both the biker world and the cartel world for years. The Angels transported the teen to a remote ranch in the Texas Panhandle, an abandoned property once used for gun running in the 90s. Among outlaw circles, the place was infamous, a safe house maintained by a retired Skull Valley member, the same charter Dobbins had infiltrated decades earlier under the alias Jaybird. Back then, he had described the club's rigid hierarchy: presidents, warlords, sergeants-at-arms, roles that carried absolute authority. Acting without sanction could mean exile or worse. The men holding the boy knew exactly how dangerous their move was. The Hells Angels weren't a single gang, but a federation of fiercely guarded charters across continents. A grab this bold would draw heat from the outside and questions from within. But the Skull Valley contingent wasn't backing down. This was about sending a message. No cartel, not even CJNG, crossed their turf without consequences. The interrogation began that same night. The boy was kept blindfolded, wrists zip-tied, surrounded by men who wanted one thing: confirmation. Was he truly tied to El Mino, the ghost king of CJNG? He stayed silent until one biker played a phone recording of his voice from a CJNG recruiting clip uploaded to TikTok weeks earlier. The moment he heard it, the kid froze. The room understood. They had the right boy.
¿Cómo se dieron cuenta? Porque yo preguntaba, ¿cómo se dieron cuenta de la prensa o algo? Y yo había escuchado que por Facebook, pero yo no creía. Hasta que dos jovencitos de entre 14 y 16 años máximo, dicen, ¿ustedes cómo se dieron cuenta? Dicen, por Facebook, ¿cómo?
The boy understood immediately. His identity wasn't a mystery anymore. And that meant death was coming. 200 miles south, in Reynosa, a CJNG rapid response unit was already mobilizing. Later intelligence intercepts revealed something even more explosive: a $200 million bounty, not for rescuing the boy alive, but for recovering his body and wiping out every man involved in the kidnapping. The figure sounded impossible, even by cartel standards, but in CJNG, symbolism mattered more than money. The teen wasn't just another young lieutenant. He carried bloodline. Rumors said he was a cousin of Niceo Cervantes, El Mencho himself. El Mencho's rise from a Michoacan police officer to the most feared cartel commander of the century had been built on legend, brutality, and a reputation that bordered on myth. In Guadalajara, his name still traveled in whispers.
Mencho himself, known as El Señor de los Gallos because he loves roosters and cockfighting, has never been arrested. Nobody has even known his whereabouts for years. Unlike the Sinaloa cartel, the Nuevo Jalisco cartel is run like a military, like its own government.
Leadership within the Angels was split. In the outlaw biker world, kidnapping a cartel operative wasn't business, it was suicide. But the Mesa chapter's president, a hard-edged strategist known as Iron Mike, saw something different. He saw leverage. If the Angels could squeeze ransom money or force a truce, they could cement control over southern Texas, pushing out rival clubs and independent traffickers once and for all. Violence was nothing new to them. They'd lived it in Nevada during the 2002 Laughlin River Run, when their feud with the Mongols exploded into a casino bloodbath that left 3 dead and dozens injured. They'd battled the Bandidos for territory. They'd survived decades of federal operations designed to tear them apart. But this was different. CJNG wasn't a biker gang. CJNG was a militarized empire, armed with battlefield-grade weapons and backed by deep political influence inside Mexican law enforcement. And the kidnapped teen, bruised but conscious, confirmed what the bikers already feared. "If you kill me," he said, "you kill yourselves." For the Angels, it wasn't a threat. It was a prophecy. Meanwhile, in Phoenix, whispers of the abduction rippled through outlaw networks. Former ATF agents monitoring biker forums flagged cryptic posts about a Mexican kid in a box and Arizona patch business gone too far. Within days, the rumors reached the DEA's El Paso Intelligence Center. Officially, no agency admitted involvement. Unofficially, interagency chatter told a different story. Some believe the Angels were striking back, a vigilante response after CJNG cells allegedly murdered an Angel prospect in Sonora months earlier. Others suspected the bikers had been set up, manipulated by cartel insiders to take the fall in a brewing CJNG power struggle. Whatever the motive, one reality stood firm. A teenager who ordered killings in Mexico was now a hostage in Texas, held by men from a club that, according to Jay Dobbins, once demanded he assassinate rival bikers under threat of death. That history hung in the air. Inside the dim safe house, a biker ripped the blindfold from the boy's face and asked the question everyone feared. How many men have you killed? The teen raised his head, blood trickling from his lip, and answered coldly, enough to know you're already dead.
The people we were using as targets were rival cartel members. There used to be 50, 60, sometimes over 100 people, just like cattle for the slaughterhouse.
They had seen death, TEEN, highways, in desert ambushes, in raids that spiraled out of control. What separated the Angels from the cartels wasn't mercy, it was structure. To be a full-patched Angel meant living under a rigid code. As Dobbins once said, to be a full-patched Hell's Angel is everything. The patches they wear, the layout of the vest, the cut, it all defines the hierarchy. And in that hierarchy, no major move occurred without a vote. So the Skull Valley crew contacted the Mesa Charter with a message that carried the weight of war. We got one of Mencho's kids. What do we do now? The answer would shape the next chapter of outlaw history. By the third day, fringe news outlets were already whispering about an alleged cartel operative abducted by American bikers. Mexican intelligence quietly confirmed the disappearance but said nothing publicly. CJNG, however, reacted fast. Search teams slipped across the border disguised as migrants and ranch hands, combing rural Texas in rented trucks. But they didn't know what the Angels already did. Federal eyes were everywhere. Drones from joint DEA-ATF task forces had been circling since the night of the ambush. The feds weren't waiting to rescue the boy. They were waiting to see how far the Angels would go. They didn't wait long. That evening, an encrypted message reached a contact in Guadalajara. It carried a single photo. The TEEN cartel lieutenant, bound but alive, seated in front of a wall bearing the Hells Angels' death head emblem. Beneath it, a simple caption, "Talk or pay." The price? $200 million. The image detonated panic across CJNG communication channels. Guadalajara's underworld froze. Accountants halted U.S. transfers. Encrypted chats filled with cryptic references to the child. The word ransom circulated in hushed tones, yet CJNG filed no official demand. To outsiders, it looked like a hoax. To insiders, it was an outright rebellion. Back at the ranch, the boy finally spoke. He described the Escuela Sicario, the assassin schools, where children as young as 12 were trained in live-fire combat, taught to kill before they learned to shave.
La rutina era simple. 8 de la mañana, te levantabas, recogían donde dormías, te lavabas la cara, formabas para empezar a hacer ejercicio. Nos entrenaron muy a tipo militar, muy estilo militar. ¿Por qué? Porque el comandante de esa escuelita fue un ex-militar.
He explained how he had been recruited through TikTok, promised wealth, status, and a path into the inner circle. His captors listened, not with sympathy, but with a strange fascination. In him, they saw a reflection of their own beginnings, boys shaped by loyalty, violence, and the need to belong. The difference was simple. The Angels fought for turf. He fought for an empire. One biker, an older member and Iraq veteran, finally asked, "Does your boss even know your name?" The boy smirked. "He knows what I earn." By midnight, word filtered in through a trusted intermediary in Nuevo Laredo. CJNG negotiators were willing to talk. The next move would decide everything. whether this spiraled into full-blown war or faded into outlaw legend. For now, the kid was alive, and the Hells Angels held the upper hand. But in the American Southwest, every outlaw knew the same truth. Upper hands never last. The ransom. Inside CJNG ranks, this wasn't kidnapping, it was blasphemy. The boy was rumored to be blood kin to Necio Uguera Cervantes, El Mencho, the most feared narco of modern Mexico, ruler of the Pacific Corridor. Hours after the photo surfaced, safe houses across Guadalajara, Colima, and Tepic were sealed shut. CJNG's internal intelligence wing, La Oficina, blasted encrypted orders northward. Find him. Find them all. Meanwhile, in Texas, the Angels moved quickly. Phones were smashed, vehicles swapped, ranks split. Under darkness, the teen was relocated to a fortified compound near Amarillo, an old biker-owned property once used to stash weapons during the height of the Bandidos Wars. According to leaked briefings, Hells Angels leadership convened an emergency vote with representatives from the Skull Valley, Mesa, and Austin charters. In the Angels world, major decisions required unanimous agreement. As Jay Dobbins once explained, to become a full member, you have to earn a 100% vote. If one guy says no, you wait. On the fourth day of captivity, Iron Mike, president of the Mesa Charter,
Famously, back in 2015, during a military raid to capture El Mencho, sicarios from the Jalisco cartel shot down a Mexican military helicopter with a rocket-propelled grenade.
The people we were using as targets were rival cartel members. There used to be 50, 60, sometimes over 100 people, just like cattle for the slaughterhouse.